Hello, all. It is me again. I am here. It is I. We're starting this really quick, just because the person I'm supposed to be meeting with is already apparently in the call. So I'm gonna go there. Today's very special. This is something I've never done before. So forgive me if stuff goes awry or isn't perfect, but we actually have a interview and a game today with a developer, or not a developer, the staff member, community staff member from Creature Caster, which is to me a local miniature company that makes some of the best proxies for demons and other creatures and stuff for fantasy games. And they now make a MOBA inspired tabletop war game called Eternal Champions. So they're going to be actually taking me on a program called Vassal, and we're going to be playing a game. He's going to be teaching me how to play it, and as we play, I'm going to be asking him questions that I've written down. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. I'm going to pin this message to the thing, and then we're going to get right into the meeting with him.
Just to get some reference point here. I have so many Discord things now, so it's a little bit more. There it is. Okay. Okay, yeah, I remember the conversation now. Okay, so, nice to meet you. I'm Simon. I'm one of the owner operators at Creature Caster, and I'm in charge of the Judgment community. And I'm here to help support growing communities. And I was like super excited that you got so many models painted, and I was like, oh, I would love to just get together, play some games, talk about your store, etc. So, how did you find out about Judgment, and why did you start playing?
I found out because, first off, I saw it when I was at the GameCon convention.
Okay, yeah.
Saw the models there. I met a person I know that works for Chronicle Cards. We were talking about it and stuff. And then later date, a friend of mine brought the game into our local store and showed it off. And as soon as I saw them play it, I was like, this reminds me very much like a game that I've been waiting for to come in from Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this could fill that niche until that game came out. And then I actually started playing it more, and then I was like, you know what, I really like this. It's what I imagine League of Legends players would view themselves playing League of Legends.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so was it Will from Chronicle Cards?
Yep.
Oh, you know Will from Chronicle Cards?
Yep.
The Australian dude, is that correct?
Yep. I have one of his cards here too.
Oh, cool. I love Will. He's a great guy. He's wacky and super energetic. So that's great. So in your store, how many people are playing right now?
For what I've seen, it's just starting to pick up. So we have about 5 people I've seen so far play, with more coming in. There was a big order they just did to get more stuff in, including some models for myself.
Yeah.
So they're hopefully get more people playing. A lot of test games going.
Yeah. Hi, Andrew. This is Will.
Hey, Will, how you doing today?
Good, you?
Not too bad. Thanks for letting me lurk on your guys' call. I just kind of want to watch your gameplay, if that's okay.
Andrew here is he's a team member that is joining us very shortly, and I'm really excited to work with him, mainly because he's going to help create video content for Judgment. So he needs some inspiration to figure out what's going on, basically. Right. So how often are you getting together for events at your store, Will?
I'm not too sure. That's ran by somebody else.
What's his name? Do you know his name? What I'm looking to do is I have like my year-long idea for what I would like to accomplish, right? And the first goal is creating champions, basically. And the champions are in the stores, running events, and gathering people together to play events, right? Because that's kind of one of the values of our company is basically we make games that build friendships, right? So that's, and then I usually contact the stores afterwards. So that's kind of the first part of the program. The second half is a little bit like my goal is to create video marketing, so it helps you, teaches your friends how to play, gives inspiration to players. And the third kind of element is having a good retail program with good organized play and tournaments all over the North America as well too. So that's kind of the overarching plan right now. And usually, let me know if you're interested in all of helping run events. Okay, so let us get started. Okay, I'm curious to see how well you know the game. Andrew, there is a room online for, it's called Simon and Will, basically. If you want to join that and be an observer, that's helpful. How many games have you played, Will?
I'd say 2 so far. Excuse me, 2 so far.
Okay, so I won't go through my demo. We'll just kind of get into the game because you have probably a fairly decent level of knowledge then, basically. Not really, because, it takes like 6 games to get used to it, but enough to play the game without me kind of demoing everything, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Krognar side. I'm missing Kogan. And on this side, I'm missing Marcus. Okay, do you have a preference? Do you like to play Ista or Krognar?
Ooh, I've actually not played with the gods yet.
Okay, perfect. I can teach you how to do that. It's not too difficult, right? So Ista is a god of light and healing, right? She's honorable god, while but kind of strict in her views, right? So very conservative, right? And we have Krognar, who's the god of shadow and deceit, but is very light, and he advocates freedom as well, though, right? So which faction calls to you, resonates with you more? Don't worry about getting the names right. Just the feel of them is fine. Okay, so so you're on the left, I'm on the right, right? So you can change the rim of the characters by doing Control R, basically. So I'm going to change the rims of the Krognar team to orange to be very nice and bright. This is the monster pit here. Okay, so this monster pit will either spawn a 1 to 3 Gloom, 4, 5, 6 Inferno. Over on the right-hand side here are the silhouettes of dice. This is how you roll dice. So, for example, if I'm rolling 3 dice, I click the silhouette and 3 dice come up, basically. And on the right here shows you the judgment symbol dice. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Now, so we'll get you to start the rolling on a roll 1d6, and that will determine which monster is on this monster pit over here. Go ahead. Okay, so it's Infernal starts over here like this then on this monster pit. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. So before we start the game, we have to determine who will be the first player. We're going to roll 2d6 to determine who the first player is. So I'll roll first. I rolled a 7. Go ahead and roll.
Oh.
So I'm going to be the first player, okay?
All right.
Since I'm the first player, you get to determine which side of the map you would like, right? Now, there's only a slight difference. This side has a forest. This side has forest on the side. This side has like some cover over here, while this side has a wall. Do you have a preference for top or bottom?
I'll do the top side.
Okay, great. So up on the top here, one of the more annoying parts of this module is the partitions have to be pulled out sometimes to grab stuff. So over here is God and effigies, Ista. We'll do top, and I'll pull it out. When you move an effigy, you kind of have to grab it from the middle between the 20 and the Ista, right? Basically, and I'll delete this placeholder and place it over here like this. On the bottom, I'll delete this one here, and I'll grab the bottom half of Krognar here. Partition comes out, bottom, and so I apologize for all the talking, but I just want to make sure that you kind of are aware of what I'm doing.
Right.
Okay. So since I'm the first player, I have to veto first. Vetoing first is actually a slight negative because you get to react to my choices, right? So on your team, are you familiar with the majority of these characters, or how's your comfortability with these characters, do you feel?
I know what they do.
Okay, great. So on your team, I'm going to get rid of... if I was playing really hard, I would probably get rid of Brock or Don Regard, right? Because the reasons why is Don Regard is a very solid board control character and healing and a tank, right? While Brock is massive damage dealer. So these are the two characters I fear the most, basically. And Sam's pretty nasty too. Marcus is a setup character. We're gonna get rid of Marcus. I'm gonna get rid of your Marcus. So you lost your resilience there. So Control X to remove a character. Who would you like to veto on my side?
I would have to go Wreck here.
I sensed that, basically. I sensed it from you. Okay. Now I have to drop first as well, too. I need my DPS. Oops. I just teleport.
Okay. You guys just started?
Yeah, we just started. We're just in the veto process right now.
Oh, nice.
So I want to keep my DPS. So Kogan's very vital to this team. Piper is kind of a jack of all trades, and Zeron's fun, and tank, and Skull is one of my favorite characters. I'm going to go a little more offensive this time. Skull can be offensive, but I want to play with Zeron and have fun with him. So I'm going to veto Skull, drop Skull. So Control X on Skull. And I'm just going for pure damage, basically. Who would you like to drop on your side?
I'm going to drop Sand.
Ooh, Sand. You're trying to do some damage as well, too, I see. This is going to be a bloodbath. Okay. So, we've chosen our characters. Since I'm going first, I have to deploy my characters first. So, I'm going to deploy... I'll kind of state at my deployment. I want Kogan leveling up first, so I'll put him out here. But I'm going to put him out here, so basically he'll follow up the initial attack. Piper will try to draw back Inferno and launch the initial attack, and Zero will go in the middle to kind of have overarching board control, maybe sniping the shrine at the end. I have to play. Go ahead, Will.
All right. I think I'm going to kind of do something similar. I'm going to stick my Archie boy right here.
It has to be behind your effigy.
Oh, behind? Okay. Like right around there.
Okay.
Nice.
Basically,
Alan
I want range. I need that line of sight. And to protect both, he's going to go in the middle.
Okay.
And then he'll come around the edge.
Okay. So, during the game, there's a couple the trickier rules: slalom charges, cover, and line of sight. Sounds like you know line of sight, but I obviously don't know if you do or not, right? But
somewhat.
When those things come up, I will explain them basically. Okay, if you have questions, let's not worry about winning the game. You're gonna obviously make mistakes. Let's focus on more about understanding the rules after we go through them. So and until you make those mistakes, you won't actually see them. I'm sure you're aware of this, well, correct? Right?
Yep.
Okay. So interesting deployment. I will start as the first move. This is our fate over here, controlling our fate, and I think that's pretty much it. We can get started.
All right.
I'm gonna start with Piper. Piper he gets a mystic step. So before his turn even begins, he gets to place himself somewhere special. This is a very powerful ability of Piper's. So Piper will mystic step over here just to get a little bit extra distance. I'm considering buying an item right off the bat. I will not, because I need to make sure that Alan Deere can't snipe Inferno, basically. So Piper will charge Inferno. He gets 1 free hex. He will go over here like this, and he gets 4 more additional hexes. So he will go over here like this, basically. Even though he makes him a little vulnerable to Brock, that's okay. Okay. 6 melee versus 4 agility is 2 dice, plus 2 for the charging is 4 dice. So 4 dice on Inferno. That was a terrible roll. Do I want to use Fate? I think I need to use Fate because Piper doesn't have a lot of attack stats. So I'll use my Fate that I started off with and re-roll the dice.
Oh
that's
man,
not bad, but
you got your movement if you want to move.
I got my movement. Yeah, there's the maneuver. So I'm going to maneuver Inferno over here like this, a little bit further away from your team. That was a fairly bad roll, but that's okay. Inferno's not damaged yet, so he's not totally vulnerable to your snipe. So I'm gonna shoot Inferno now. I'm in the smoke. I can see Inferno, but Inferno's not in the smoke, right? So 6 magic versus 4 agility is 2 dice. So 2 dice. That's pretty good, basically. Now, Piper has the ability. He is unique amongst all these characters. He can actually move other characters with his range attack, basically. So he does 1 damage to Inferno, and he's gonna move Inferno behind the smoke over here like this, making it a little bit harder for you to snipe him. I'm done. Your turn.
Yeah. That's another thing I liked about this game. The characters felt very much like unique and powerful. Like in a lot of MOBAs, I find that, or people who try to do it, they make their characters kind of all be balanced around each other, so they all kind of feel like just characters in the same universe. Whereas a lot of them, the lore is like, oh, they're pulled from different universes, so they're supposed to be like the hero characters of those worlds. And the characters in Judgment feel very much like that. So like in the world of Judgment, they all feel like balanced and kind of like same power. But if you were to put them in a world with normal humans like D&D, they would be like gods.
Yeah, that's a good description. That's a good description.
Like, very few games I find do that well.
I appreciate you sharing that, because that's very good for inspiration for Andrew as well too. So get him all pumped up for like what is this world? Why are they cool? So...
And you totally nailed it. They are very uniquely powerful, and so there's not a lot of auxiliary between like their powers. Like Piper he doesn't just feel like an elf with an extra dash. You know, he gets these special movements, and I actually had to reread his ability card a few times because I didn't realize at first that ranged couldn't push.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can see the power of that range now.
Yep,
right?
huge now. Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, you can move through your Iggy, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So it's 3 to
now,
there.
Just as a note, before you decide your moves here a little bit, Will. I get a sense that you want to shoot at Piper, right? Now, since he's in the smoke, you have to be within 2 hexes to shoot at him.
Yeah.
You could still charge him, okay? But sounds like you know it. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna shoot the shrine.
Oh, before we start, we forgot something special here. Since you have Alandir, you get to mark one of my characters to begin with, right? So basically, they become a little bit easier to blast for Alandir. Who would you like to mark at the beginning of the game?
Kogan.
A good
Nice.
choice.
That's what I would have done too.
Yeah. Oh, both of you would have done that. Lies.
No, for sure. I just played a game against Kogan. That's why I'm marked.
Okay, yeah. He's actually kind of squishy. So, and he's my DPS dealer. So
he's such an interesting character. I love the range knockdown, so he can support and set people up.
Yeah, it's just hard to do because you don't get generally a ton of dice with range, right? So, okay. Totally. So continue, Will. What would you like to do with Alandir next?
So the shrines, we can attack those, right? Or how do the shrines work?
The shrines are not... The shrines, if you're adjacent to the shrine, Will, and in the commune phase during the step 3 phase, generate fate, you get D3 fate to add to your pool as long as it's not contested. And what that means is if I have a character on it as well, nobody gets it. And it's not about having more characters on it. You have to have no enemy characters adjacent to it. Does that make sense?
Yep. I guess I'll just spend my entire turn just kind of running him to right here.
Okay, I think that's actually not a bad move. The only thing, I'm going to give you little tidbits. Judgment is about seizing the initiative. Every move that you try to accomplish with a character should be like making your character, the enemy have to react to you, basically. If you're making them dance to your tune, then basically you have the initiative, basically. Since you moved Alandir there first, then it forces me to respond, but you've already kind of given away your plan a little bit to me now, just to give you a heads up, okay? Yeah. So Control M on Alandir to show that he's been marked, and it'll change his rim. There we go. But that's a good move. You have kind of position now as well too. So on my side,
I think you have another move. You have another.
You do, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it only costs you 6 to get
1,
over
2,
there.
3, and you can dash with your second move. Basically, dash means you can add +1 to your move then. So you still have one action left.
Oh.
Does Alan, do you have anything he can do?
I don't think so. He has his explosive shot for a fate, and then outside of that,
what's his
you can't see Piper. You could buy an item before you leave the base, basically, as an action, basically. So you could enhance his shooting as well if you want, but it would cost you a fate. Is that something you would be?
Can I shoot the Inferno, or does that because there's the smoke, I can't draw a line through it?
Exactly. You can't see the Inferno. That's why I placed them there. Make it really hard for you.
Yeah, that was good. Good angle.
You know, I will buy an item then. This will be my first time using items.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So I'm giving you some hints here. So basically, obviously, like shooting. There's also something called the Hunter's Knife. Will make you do extra damage against monsters. That's one solution. The other solution is I don't have any armor, so you don't need to break armor. Another option is just increasing your range attack, which is pretty good, basically, right?
Yeah.
If he was adjacent to the shrine to the south, towards his effigy, could he shoot Inferno? I think if he was placed properly at the beginning on the farther side of the effigy, and he gets dash, he could have gotten to the south of the shrine and the first move, and then used his last move to hit Inferno.
Yeah. Your opening positions can be important. They usually are, actually.
I think that's what he wanted to do too, is get that shot. I think he could legally do it.
I wanted to kind of get him over here because my idea is, and I'm just going to say it because it's, just a funsy game. I don't play games to be competitive. Alandir is kind of like, I've always used him as my support character. So he wants to get into around the enemies, get into some cover, kind of scout out the area so that my Minotaurs can charge up and punch people.
Totally. As a note, compared to most games, the judgment is harder to say what the right answer is. I think your placement has potential for sure, Will.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like I'm terrible with Alandir, so I can't even give you good advice on him, to be honest. Right? So I think you're kind of playing it smart. Anyways, not to get too caught up in the weeds here. Another choice as well too, Will, might be like the potion of healing. It's called the restoration potion. This will heal you 10 life, basically, if you use an action. And it's free for Ista. Only Ista characters can take it. So that's another option too, basically. So what would you like to take, either or both of these options?
I will take both of them if that's a thing.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll leave them on the side here so you can see it, okay?
All right.
So you've taken both options. It's my turn now. Okay. The only negative here with Kogan, I kind of put him out of line of sight of Kogan, so he can't get all his attacks on him, right? So that was a little bit of a mistake, but I was worried that you might snipe him with Brock or something, right? So in this case, I'm going to weaken him a little bit further then. So Zaron's going to go next. He's going to go 3 spaces here, and he will shoot Inferno. 7 minus 4 is 3 dice. Ooh, nothing. Zaron is going to then move beside the shrine to contest it now, basically. Before we move on, I want to, since you're new to the game and we're beside the shrine, this provides cover. Do you know how cover works at all, Will?
Not 100%.
Okay, let me give you a quick lesson on it, okay? So, control C. This is one of the hardest rules in the game, as a note. Let's say that Gloom is beside this wall, right? Anytime you're beside something that's made of stone, it can provide cover for you, okay? And how you determine if it provides you cover, this is how you do it. So Gloom is beside this piece of cover. This is the line here that Gloom is touching beside the cover. You draw a parallel line through the middle of Gloom. Do you see that parallel line?
Yeah.
Anything on the line or to the left of Gloom, Gloom would receive cover, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at Alandir. Alandir is beside the shrine, which is made of stone. You draw a line parallel through Alandir like this, and anything on that line or bottom of Alandir would receive cover. So if you're beside the shrine, it's generally pretty easy to receive cover around it, basically. Unless you're over here for Zeron, then Zeron wouldn't receive cover from that angle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you picked it up pretty quick. If there's two lines, let's say, for example, Gloom is here, you have to draw a line through the middle of Gloom and this way as well, too, because there's two lines touching. And then it becomes sectors almost. There's 4 quadrants. And then only shooting from this quadrant will Gloom not receive cover against. Okay, I think you got it. You seem quite quick. So, but if you didn't fully grasp it, I'll explain later again. Okay, so I'm done. Your turn.
All right. So you've moved over there. Piper's still there. I guess now it's just to move and charge at Piper. If that
okay,
is
now, yep, I think that's a good choice. Who are you doing it with, Brock or
with
Don
Brock?
Okay. So what's your first move with Brock? And remember, all dwarves dash in this game. So even though they only move 2, once during their activation, they can move 1 extra hex.
We're going to move, I guess, for that extra right there.
That's only costs you 2 right now, so you have 1 more if you want.
Oop.
Okay.
And I want to charge because I won't be able to swing twice.
Yeah. So you're gonna charge now. When you engage Piper, it's not engaging him. It's where do you want to end up being for the next turn, basically, right? So your choices to engage Piper are here, 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 or the front, right? Obviously. So which hex would you like to be in?
I'm going to go into the middle of the smoke here.
Okay, good. Okay, so 7 minus my 5 is 2 dice, plus 2 for charging is 4 dice, basically.
Brock, stat card. Alright. You said 7 again? How many?
Yeah, it's your 7 minus my 5 agility. So you get 4 dice because you get plus 2 for the charge.
Alright. And yeah.
Oof. That's not bad. Not the crit that you're looking for. So you do 3 damage. It's plus and minus to remove life. So he's down to 10. And you did get a push. You have the option of re-rolling these dice, though, if you want. Would you like to re-roll?
I think I'm good with it.
Yep. Okay. You get 1 more push as well, too.
I'm going to push him. Oh, you said it was alt-right? Oh, for pinging?
Yep.
Why are you not?
On a
oh, there
PC.
you go. It's left.
Yeah. Left. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. I've been telling people wrong.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll push him right
you
there.
Want to push him? Okay, go ahead and move him. You can move him yourself.
There we go.
Okay, Control M and Brock is finished.
Don't I get the... Oh, Oh, yeah, because I used...
You moved, and then you charged for a total of 3 activations.
Yeah.
And you didn't get a crit, so you don't get the backswing.
Yeah. That is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Control M, and then you're done, and then I have Kogan.
Control M. There you go.
Okay. So with Kogan, I'm not going to kill Inferno this turn, which is very good for you because Alandir and Brock are in a good place to snipe this kill now, right? The only negative for you is Inferno's close to you, so Inferno's going to attack you during the Hunter phase. So attacking Inferno at this stage for me, I don't think is a smart move because you get to go first next turn, right? Instead, so Alandir's positioning was kind of good in that situation, right? Instead, I think I'm gonna lay the smackdown, or maybe try to get Alandir off of the shrine. Basically, going second gives you the advantage of shrine control, right? Which Fate is very valuable in the game. So in this case, I think trying to get Alandir off the shrine might be a little bit more beneficial for me, simply because fighting around Inferno doesn't sound too fun for me right now. So actually, I'm going to attack Inferno. So I mean Brock here. So here we go. So my first move, one, two, one, two, no, 1, 2, 3 over here like this. I'll leave the mark until I figure out my final movement. I want to be away from Inferno, so I'm going to charge you here like this, basically. Okay?
Right.
I take a point of damage for going into the lava. It's -2 to my move, which allows me to do that anyways, because I only moved 3. But I couldn't move here because that would have been -2, so that I can't, even though I want to go there, I can't go there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So, Kogan has charged here. I have no faith for Battle Cry. So 7 minus your 3 is 4 dice, plus charging is 6 dice, basically. So 6 dice here. Let me double check. 7 minus 3 is 4. Yep, 6 dice. That's a really good roll. Even though I want to chainsaw you, I have to choose between chainsawing you or pushing you, basically, right?
Yeah.
In this case, I think the push is going to do more damage, right? So first of all, I crit you for 5 damage, so you lose 5 life. Plus and minus.
Plus and minus? Right.
Yeah. Or H and J.
I'm going to push Brock into the monster over here like this now, right? Inferno, as soon as anybody's pushed into a monster, they attack them immediately, and I get to roll. 8 minus 3 is 5 dice. 5 dice from Inferno. So you take another, I think Inferno does 4 damage on the hit, so you take 4 damage. And you're lit on fire as well, too. Control F. So there's the little fire symbol popped up beside Brock, right? Yeah. Now, the reason why you're put on fire, just as a note too, Will, monsters have they have like a AI dice basically. They take dice in a certain way. They take J's first. They always have to take J's first. They always have to take solids hits next, and then they do maneuvers. And that's how you determine. They don't push, but they do like their combat maneuvers. So, for example, I took a J. I took a hit, and then I get to use the last maneuver here, basically. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So monsters need to. They can't always perform their combat maneuvers, even though it looks like it, right? So in this case, I got a J and a combat maneuver, and I was able to use the maneuver there, basically. Okay. So that was a good chunk of damage, and Kogan's finished. Your turn.
All right. Now, where are we going to move this guy?
Okay, before you move Dawnregar's ability, you know Stone Form. Everybody loves Stone Form, right?
Yeah.
Stone Grass is harder to use. One of his key skills is redirection of damage. If he's within 2 hexes, he can redirect damage to him. It's almost like giving you an extra action, basically. It's one of the most powerful skills in the game, in my opinion, right? So, just as a note, that's good to remember for Dawnregar. It's his Stone Form and his redirect are some of his biggest assets, and the fact that he crits on 5s is also really powerful too, in my opinion. Okay, so that's basically the gist of him.
All right. 1, 2, 3. I could do that actually. I'm going to move him for 2 movements. We're going to go right here.
Okay, you have 1 action left then. What would you like to do with your last action? No, as a note, Will, a note, let me explain. That doesn't change who controls the shrine.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to get him by Elder and the soul.
Okay, gotcha. What would you like to do with your last action?
We're going to Stone Form.
Yeah, okay, good call. Stone form. Okay, so I'm gonna grab up here in the hero tokens. You can grab. I'll grab it for you. Stone form, and we place a little stone form token on him. Okay, Control M, and that everybody's done. I'm gonna mass grab everybody by like using the mouse cursor, and then Control M to reset everybody. Be careful when you when you grab a bunch of characters. You have to click off, and because if you move the mouse, it'll move everybody, and then there's no resetting in this game. If you move everything, it's pretty much like flipping the board, basically. Okay. Okay. We're done. New turn. At the start of the turn, the only thing that happens at the start of the commune phase is regeneration. All Minotaurs regenerate. Both Kogan and Domingar are full, so no regeneration. There's no unbound souls. There is a monster. This monster hunts now, basically. Since he's adjacent to Brock, he attacks Brock, basically. Otherwise, he would move towards the closest hero. So, 8 minus 3 is 5 dice on you again. So, Brock is going to eat another ton of damage. And he lights you on fire again, but you can't have more than 1 fire token. So, you take another 4 damage. Now, I made a slight mistake here. I don't want the monster killing you, because if the monster kills you, I don't get your soul, right? So, not only that, Inferno has dual wield. Only during the hunt phase, he dual wields with his second attack. He loses a dice, and he attacks you again for 4 dice. So, I got kind of lucky there. Actually, I didn't, because I think he does 3 damage on a glance. Let me double check. Stat card. He does 2 damage on a glance, so I got really lucky there. So you take 2 more damage. So Brock's down to 1. So my plan to shove you into Inferno was very effective there, basically. Okay. Generate fate. We both get 1 free fate at the beginning of this turn. After this, there's no more free fate. Neither of us have souls, and neither of us control the shrine. So no more fate. Spawn souls. So I'll get you to roll. 1, 2, 3. It's gonna pop up over here, basically. Yeah. So it pops over there, which is beneficial for me, sort of, right? And spawn monsters. Since there's a monster on the board, a new monster doesn't spawn. At the end of the commune phase, you get to call your effigy powers. Okay, so you don't know about this, so we'll go into this right now about a little bit about the gods. Okay, so the first thing is, since anybody that's part of an Ista warband, when you resurrect, you come back with full life. Does that make sense?
Yep.
For me, okay, my thing is my effigy recalls only cost me 1 instead of 2. So we're really good at retreating, basically. Right? So, and it doesn't matter who's a part of your warband, even though they're not a champion of Ista, the god grants them these powers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
In the step 6 phase, since you are going first, you can call your effigy power at the start of this phase. I get to respond by calling my effigy power afterwards. Let me explain my effigy power first. My effigy power is, if I call my effigy power, any of my characters can teleport adjacent to the it's called shadow dancing. Teleport beside the effigy, beside Zeron, because he's the avatar of Krognar, or beside a shadow orb. Okay? And this is a place effect. That means, since it's a place effect, you do not get a free parting blow on me as I teleport away, basically. So that's the power of Krognar. Yours is a little bit more straightforward, but there's more components to it. You get to fly. So what that means is when you charge, you avoid intervening models and terrain. Next, no parting blows on you. You become nimble, basically, right? Next, you heal 1 life. And last, you get to clear a condition for free. So, for example, Brock is on fire. You would clear the fire condition. And what the fire condition does, it means you can't be healed, and you also take 3 damage if you don't use a fate to cleanse it during your turn, basically, right? So under those circumstances, would you like to call your effigy power right now, Will?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because Brock is pretty much toast. right? Most likely, but I'm calculating quickly in my head. On my side, I don't think I want to use it right now, so I'm not going to call my effigy power yet. We've determined our effigy powers. You get to go first. Well, who would you like to activate first? Yeah. So, obviously Brock sounds like a good choice.
Yep.
But as a note, the one benefit of Brock dying is this: if Brock, actually, there's no benefit. You should activate him because who goes first to determine who went last in the previous turn, and sometimes you try to psych out your opponent by baiting them to kill your characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you get the idea. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
We're going to... let's see. We're just going to go after the Infernal.
There is a good chance you could kill him. I think that's not a bad move, actually. Right? I would probably agree with that. Okay. So you're going after the Inferno. 7 minus 4 is 3 dice. You lose a dice. You're being distracted by Kogan. So it's only 2. So that's a tough call, Will. My recommendation to you might be going Savage, right? So if you go into Savagery, you gain +1 melee. That would give you 3 dice. That means with 3 dice, you could crit, possibly. Yeah. But you would lose an attack, basically. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to go Savage. So I'm going to put the Savagery token on him. So now your melee is 8, right? So you have greater potential critting now, basically. So 8 minus 4 is 4 dice, but you lose 1 for Kogan. So you get 3 dice versus Inferno.
All right. Let's go.
That's a start. You do 3 damage to Inferno, but you are a monster hunter, so he takes 1 more point of damage. So down to 8.
All right. Then the last...
but you could re-roll this. That was a decent roll, but I think you get the idea. Basically, yeah. Would you like to re-roll?
Yeah, we're gonna re-roll. Might as well.
Okay, I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. No.
Okay, no, it didn't help you too much. You lost a point of damage, and he goes back up to 9. Right? Yeah. You do get a push. That's kind of helpful. You can get away from Kogan now, basically. Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Boop.
Okay, that's where you're going?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was your second action. You have 1 action left, basically. With this epic action, you get 4 dice, a higher chance of critting, which might help a lot.
Yes, I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, would you like to re-roll that? That's a tough call.
Yeah. You know what? No, I'm gonna save it.
You're gonna save it. Okay, I think that's a smarter move. Okay, so you did get a solid, so that's 4 damage. So 4 damage. It's actually 3, but +1. And you did get maneuver. Now with this maneuver, you can use that to push Inferno into Kogan and do some revenge if you like, or you could do something else.
I'm definitely gonna do that. That
Okay. So now Kogan takes some damage here. So 8 minus 3 is 5 dice as well. Monsters are not distracted. There we go. So you didn't get the burning effect, but you did get 3 damage on Kogan. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So at the end of your activation, Inferno, since you ended your activation beside Inferno attacks you as well too. So 8 minus 3 is 5 dice.
Oh.
So Inferno Brock dies. So you go Control Z to kill your character off, and you move him off the board. Savagery's gone. We'll put it on the side here. Normally, if a monster kills you, you don't get the soul. However, this is a special rule. If during your activation, including at the end of it, you die to a monster, the nearest enemy hero gets to gather the soul. Okay? That means you can't suit it into monsters, basically. That prevents people from, basically, okay?
Right.
So, Piper's 2 hexes away, Kogan's 2 hexes away. So, I'm going to choose Piper to take the soul. So, Control plus gives him a soul. See, a little soul pops up. And since the soul has become bound to him, he gets to level up. And he activates his Duplicate Self ability. No, sorry, it's called Viper Strike. Something like that. It's not Viper Strike, but what is it called? It's called Viper Venom. Okay? Man, they love the word Viper. Anyways, now when he can use combat maneuvers to duplicate himself, basically, right? So he's leveled up. He's gained a hit point. I go right click, level 2. And he's level 2 now. So first kill to Simon. First blood. Okay. Sort of first blood to me. Anyways, your turn is done. My turn. I'm going to... Okay, here's the thing here, Will, right?
Yep.
Normally, I'm feeling greedy, and I want to pick up that soul with Piper right now pretty badly. But that might not be the best move, because I'm leaving Kogan and Zeron susceptible to being attacked. So I have to determine if I think this is the best initiative. Is there something I can do to change the initiative here? Kogan is sort of safe beside Inferno right now in a strange way. Zeron will get pounded by Dawnregar. So it might be useful for Zeron to get out of there, basically. So, but I also means that Dawnregar could possibly charge Piper. So I'm thinking I'm going to leave Zeron to his own little things that he wants to do. And I'm going to activate Piper next because I really want to gather that soul. Piper gets a Mystic Step. Piper will Mystic Step beside the soul. Now, this allows him to Soul Harvest right away, basically. Right? So, as my first action, I'm going to Soul Harvest, basically. It's a 2 actions, so as my first 2 actions. Before I do that, I'm going to use my Fate to enhance himself, basically. So, I'm going to use that Fate, and he gets Enhance. All his stats go up by 1 now, basically, including his Soul Harvest. So his Soul Harvest, instead of being a 4, is a 5. On 2d6, I need to roll 7 to harvest his soul now. I can't re-roll it because I used it on the Enhanced Self. That's enough. So he gains another soul. So level 3 now, and Control Plus. And now he's a level 3 character. And he gets the ability to taunt you now as well, too, basically. He used to be really effective because he could run away and taunt you, but now he can't move after he taunts, so it's a little bit harder to use. With my last action, I'm going to use this last action to try to deposit the souls, so he's going to move towards Effigy. Can he get there with 4 hexes? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a space short, but that's okay, because he gets the ability to Mystic Step next turn. So he's going to go over here like this and run towards the effigy to deposit it. He's done. Your turn.
That's a thing now. I got to think about.
That's okay, Will. Like, the main thing is we're playing fast games is good. Like, we can get together for another 1-hour game later to get you more and more involved. But the faster we get through the games, the faster you'll learn as well, too.
Yeah. I think I'm going to use my Archie boy.
Okay.
And
what are your thoughts with him?
If I could shoot Piper, that would be nice, but I don't think I can.
And not only that, Piper has agility 6 right now, so he's really hard to kill with range.
So I think my best bet is I'm gonna use him to shoot Kogan since he's marked.
Okay. Now, as a note, for every engaged model to Kogan, it's -1. So that mark is almost clear because Inferno is engaging Kogan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have 8 range because you're a Heartseeker. Minus my 3 is 5 dice, basically. Not only that, you can aim with range attacks. So if you aim, it's a free action. You can add +1 more to your dice, basically, to your attack dice pool, right? Yeah. However, you will not be able to make a melee attack, you will not be able to advance, and you will not be able to charge, basically.
Yeah,
but
you're basically lining up the shot.
Exactly. So, but you get to still push with the maneuvers, though.
Yeah, I'm good with aiming. I don't plan to move.
Yeah. So your range is 9 now, minus my 3 is 6 dice. You're gonna do some damage here. So triple J. So you do 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you twin shot as well too. So you do 2 damage to Inferno as well too. Right? So that was your first action. So you're gonna kill Kogan. Are you gonna do that again?
Yeah. Can I do this explosive shot also?
You could do explosive shot right now, but you might want to save your fate. Actually, you can't kill Kogan without the explosive shot, anyways, right? So you might as well do the explosive shot, correct?
Yeah, but also thinking I could hurt Inferno also.
Yep. Let me double check what explosive shot does. All enemies also take 1 true damage. He won't take the burn effect because he's immune to fire, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But you'll still do 1 more damage, which is not bad. Would you like to use your explosive shot now?
Yes.
Okay, so 1 fate. Kogan takes a damage, and he's on fire. Control F, so he can't regenerate anymore or be healed. And Inferno takes extra damage as well too. Okay, so that was your first action. Second action, another 6 dice.
Yeah.
Another 4 damage to Kogan, and you destroy Inferno basically as well too, right?
Yep.
So Alandir levels up to level 2. Control right click. As a note, you do not get to claim the bounty. Okay, you have to be adjacent to the monster to claim the bounty. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. Inferno had 2 bounties as well too. He gets the Glyph of Ember, which enhances you in some way, right? You also get free by action when you kill a monster and you're adjacent to it. Do you know about that?
Yeah, that part I knew.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. It's a free buy action, which you can trade items in as well too. The last thing is, if Dawnregard was beside Inferno when Inferno died, Dawnregard would get the free buy action and the fate bounty. Did you know that?
I would assume so.
Okay, gotcha. So just to be clear, let's say for example Gloom was over here and Brock was over here and alive, and you killed Gloom. Brock would collect the fate and get the buy action.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you know that role.
Yeah, so Alandir is kind of is the idea I had about him. He's the support character to basically push the people into a spot so that he can take the final shot, and then they can collect for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you knew the rule. Now, you're the chances of getting a solid hit here is quite high, but now that I'm pumping it all up, you probably won't get it. All right, so you have 6 more dice now.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Nice. Good job. Okay, so Kogan, dead. Oh, nice. Control Z for dead. Kogan is removed. And you level up again. You're level 3 now. What does he get on level 3? Let's see. Deadly precision. Oh, true damage. Not super useful for you because I don't have a ton of armor, right? But you are badass now, basically, right? Okay. Alandir is done. Control M. You didn't get any maneuvers there. Okay.
Do I get a soul for killing Kogir, or is that?
You do get a soul, correct.
Can I ask for clarification on something real quick?
Of course, Andrew.
So when Inferno was adjacent to Kogan, and Alandir was shooting Kogan, it sounded like you said it took a dice away from Alandir, or does it take a dice away from Kogan?
It takes a dice away from Alandir because Alandir is shooting. And the reason why it's a dice removed is because for every model engaged to your target, you lose a dice.
Okay, I see. I actually read that the opposite. I read it that the guy was engaged, so you're kind of shooting him in the back, and the shooter gains a dice. Okay.
Yeah. So just for reference here, basically Kogan's on the board here, basically, and he's shooting at Brock, right? If, for example, Alandir was beside Brock, there'd be no minus because you're just shooting into the party.
Sure,
right? But if Inferno's beside Brock, it's -1 because that's a little weird conceptually, but Inferno is engaged to Brock because he's an enemy model, basically.
What if it was a melee action? Would it be +1 in that instance, or still negative?
It's nothing because it's not a friend assisting Brock.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And if it was a friendly model, it would be
+1. Correct.
Okay, and if it was a friendly model adjacent to Kogan, would it still be -1, or would it then be a +1?
If it depends, right? So let's say if it's Kogan's beside Brock and attacking him, right? Yep. If Kogan's attacking Brock right now, it's not +1 because Inferno's not a friendly model, right? But Piper was beside Brock Brock, you would get +1.
What I meant that if Alandir was shooting Kogan and Brock was next to Kogan, would Alandir still get the negative shot?
Yes, because
Okay.
Brock is an enemy model and is engaging Kogan, basically. That's why the important word is engaging, basically.
Yeah.
So when a model is engaged by multiple targets, it's a cumulative modifier.
So no matter what instance, if there's someone next to the target Alandir's shooting, he's going to get at least one negative die, even if
Okay. Unless it's another enemy model, because they're not engaging each other. So for example, because if Piper was inside Kogan, it wouldn't be -1 because Piper's not engaging Kogan.
Gotcha, Roger.
Yeah. He's trying to shoot the target, but because the two are engaged, they're jumping around and stuff. But whereas if two enemies were beside each other, they're kind of just chilling, so it's easier to hit.
Yeah. Very well put, Will. You're more eloquent than me.
Yeah, perfect. It's perfect. Nice.
So, Will, that was a really good counter. In my opinion, that was one of the better moves to do there, right?
I think that's the best I've ever rolled in a game.
Well, 6 dice, it's pretty high. There's a very high likelihood of a solid hit. And the fate was to save that fate was smart. Instead of using it on Brock on his dying, that was less. The probability was lower on that. But as I said, there's not a real right answer in Judgment always, right? So, okay. But I think that was one of the best. You kind of led the probability chart in the right direction, basically. Okay, I only have Zeron left. Zeron, I know the soul's going to pop up here. I don't really care too much because Zeron can't face Donregar and Alandir by himself. So he's going to reposition himself into a better fighting spot. He first will... Stoneform is not worth attacking. Alandir is behind cover. I had to give up the shrine, which really sucks, right? But that's okay. So with my first action, I think I'm going to shoot Alandir. 7 minus your 5 agility is only 2 dice, and you get cover as well too. So I only get 1 die. That sucks, but I don't think I have anything else to do. I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna shoot. Yeah, no, I'll shoot 1 die first. 1 die into Alandir. So I do 2 damage to Alandir. I'm going to Effigy Recall for only 1. That's my god ability. And Zeron is a champion of Krognar. So actually, it doesn't matter if he's a champion or not. You just get to do it. So I'm going to teleport over here like so, I think. Yeah, I'm going to teleport over here a little bit further away from Donregar and behind some cover. And as my last action, I'm going to put Vampiric Touch. So now when Piper does damage, he will heal himself basically as well too. Okay, so he's done. My team is done. Donregar's left.
What is Zaron? Is he like a vampire wizard?
He's a necromancer.
That would make sense. The misty step out of there.
I like vampire wizard more.
There is a vampire mystic, Ramona. She was our release this month, and she's badass.
I picked her up in my order. I read the lore. I was kind of vibing with Thomas.
Okay, good. Yeah, Thomas is a good one. Thomas is a really interesting one too. They're like they're about martial prowess. I like to joke because one of my colleagues was like, he's the gods because he's all about strength. Right? So they like to steamroll. So it's like kill, gain life, kill, gain life. Right? So it's all about pushing and forcing your enemy to react to you, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so Donregar, what is he going to do here?
I'm going to move him here.
Okay.
And I'm going to stone form.
Okay, yeah. One more action.
I think I'm just going to chill because he doesn't have a range attack. Because then the soul's not in.
No, I think that's you're kind of done there, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Control M. Okay, I'm gonna reset the board. Regeneration. Donregar's at full. I have no regeneration on my side. Move unbound souls. There's no unbound souls. There's no monsters. I'm gonna use a random monster pit to denote that monster will come out next turn. Basically. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here to say that this monster can come out next turn, basically. Okay.
All right.
Generate fate. There's no free fate, but I get 2 fate for the 2 souls I have. You get 1 fate for Alandir's soul, but you get D3 fate for controlling that shrine.
Oh,
So you get a total of 2 fate. Now, as a note, for future reference, if the shrine is on your side of the board and you control it, it's only worth 1. If you control the shrine on my side of the board, it's worth 2. Anything along the middle line is worth D3. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the more of a risk to go into the enemy zone than it is to hold it on your side.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so spawn souls. This soul spawns, and I'm gonna use this red dot to show you where the spawn, to keep track of where the soul spawn next. And resurrect dead heroes. Who went last? I went last, correct?
Yep.
No, you went last. Donregard went last, so I get to go first. So I resurrect first. So I'm gonna resurrect over here. That's a little bit vulnerable, but I get to go first. So this is probably a little bit bold, but I'm going to do it anyways. Control Z to bring Kogan back. You get to bring Brock back adjacent to your effigy. And you come back with full life because you chose Ista as your god. Just to reiterate, since you haven't used the gods before, let's say you chose Zeron as part of your team, he's obviously not Ista champion. He would still come back with full life because that's the god ability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like your army passive ability.
The warband. It's the warband ability, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, you get the idea. But to take the restoration potion or to use the effigy power, you have to be a champion, basically. Okay. So control here M to restate them. We've ended. Now we get to call your effigy powers. I have to call mine first. I'm not going to call my effigy power because I'm going first. Would you like to call your effigy power? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, so I get to go first now, basically. Who do we want to start with? Oh, Zeron's just out of Soul Heart. Oh, actually, he can do it. So this is what I'm going to do. Zeron is going to move 3 hexes this way like this. Okay?
Yeah.
With his next 2 actions, he's going to Soul Harvest. Zeron and Saiyan both, Soul Gazers are allowed to harvest from 2 hexes away, basically. So I'm going to try to steal. I was
going to ask that if you had the Soul Siphon thing.
Yeah. So basically, his Soul Harvest is 6, but it's reduced by 1 because Donregard is beside the Soul. So now it's a 5, basically. So he needs a 7 to Soul Harvest this. So that's easily a Soul Harvest. So Control Plus. So he gets the soul. The soul's taken off the board. And he levels up to level 2. Now his skeletons explode, basically. Now the only negative is he's very vulnerable. So that might have been a little bit too bold. But I'm a greedy player. So Control M. I can't help myself. I love soul harvesting. So okay.
What is
so that was my first action. Your turn.
Is Krognar green-red? Is that his mana colors?
Kogan is he's Brulin, so he's aggressive, and he's also a little deceitful and freedom-loving. Basically, it'd be purple in our things, but yeah, if you're using the colors of he'd be red and black. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I liked Thomas. He was basically Boros.
Gotcha. Yeah. So he's Thomas is my Krognar and Tomas are my 2 favorite factions, primarily because their styles suit my style of play, and also most of my painted collection is in those 2 factions.
That's fair. I have a lot of Minotaurs.
Yeah. Minotaurs is a lot of Gruul. Gruul is the faction of the Minotaurs. They're about independence and healing and terrain. They modify terrain quite a bit.
So I think I'm going to activate Eladnir, whatever. Elandir.
Yep, that's probably a good choice.
And I guess we're just going to take pop shots at Zeron.
Yep, and you're aiming as well too. As a note, Kogan is still marked, right? And you can change the mark on a person, but it costs you an action.
I'm going to keep the mark there just in case.
Yeah, and you actually have reach to Kogan as well too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could just kill Kogan as well again, probably.
Your twin shot, your twin shot's going to hit both of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's on Zeron too. Like,
it's only adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely want Zeron because he's
Okay. Okay.
got a soul on
So
him.
that's basically 8 plus the aim is 9. Minus my 4 is 5 dice.
Still better than nothing. Let's go.
Oh, you didn't get the twin shot this time, unless you want to re-roll that.
You know what? Let's do it. Let's be bold.
Got the same roll. 3 damage. 2, 3. You can use a push to position yourself. Okay. Now, as a note, 6 to 5 is a big difference, right? Like with 5, you're risking knocking that crit, right? If that makes any sense now, right? Yeah. So, like shooting Kogan might have been beneficial in some ways. I think you would got like 7 dice against Kogan, I think, right? Yeah. So, but that's why. But you obviously wouldn't be able to kill Zeron then, right? So you get another 5 dice on Zeron. There's the good start. So 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, and Kogan takes 2. Would you like to do explosive shot? Now they're not adjacent to each other, unfortunately, right? So
yeah, I'd want to save that for when there's another person beside him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, 5 more dice. Okay, so you have to. Oh, actually, your twin shot only costs you 1 maneuver now, basically. So you get the twin shot as well too. So is that what you want to do?
Yeah, might as well. Okay,
so 4 more damage on Zeron, and 2 more damage on Kogan. Okay, Alandir's done. You did what you needed to do. Okay, in this case, Kogan's going to try to save Zeron. So when a character resurrects, they get a free buy action. With my buy action, I'm going to buy the restoration potion, right? I think it's called a healing surge. Actually, it costs 2. It's a free item basically, so that's why it's the gift. But it cost me 2 fate to buy the 10 healing potion basically, right? Yeah. So he's gonna buy that as his free action, and then as his second action, he's going to where do I want to move? I'm gonna move into the smoke here basically. Actually, that's kind of dangerous. I'm gonna move outside the smoke because Brock could charge him still. And then he only gets 2 actions this turn. As his last action, he's going to use that healing surge on Zeron and heal him 10.
Oh, so you can use health potions on friendlies that are adjacent to you.
As long as it states it inside its card. And in the case of healing surge, it is. So same with the restoration. Bearer spends 1 AP to heal target friendly adjacent model for 10 health. That includes yourself.
All right.
So you are adjacent to yourself, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Kogan, why does Kogan have such low life? Oh yeah, I took twin shots. Yep. Okay. So Kogan's done.
I see.
You know what? I mean, I feel like Alandir needs some of the range characters. They do feel strong if they're placed correctly and they have the right angle. But if they get swarmed, they feel like they get taken down pretty easy. It does feel like it's a melee meta right now in the game.
It is a little bit. You can only really have, in my opinion, in a 3v3 battle, like having more than 1 range character would be a mistake generally. You have to be a really good player. In a 5v5, like a larger battle, you kind of like, I think only having 2 range characters is smart, but obviously there's ways to break that, right? So it takes way more skill to use range characters.
Totally. I feel like giving Alandir some ability to push at range, similar to Piper, even to set up his explosive shot, something like that, because he can't really retrieve.
Andrew, you're just bad with Alandir. Okay, let's just kind of like.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I'm bad with Alandir too. But I've been beaten by really savvy players with Alandir.
Oh, he hits like a truck too.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
He really does. Explosive shot is nasty with the hidden 3 damage at the end of the turn. You know.
Okay. Unfortunately for you, remember this, Will. You only have 2 actions this turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless I can use a fate to clear that, right?
No, not the minus action. The only person that comes back with full action if you choose Tauren as your god.
Oh, because if the monster spawns right beside me, he's just gonna go straight up attack me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and you have 1 action left, which would probably be going savage. So Control M, and he's done. Piper. Man of the hour. He's
Go.
gonna mystic step beside the effigy.
Go drop off your souls.
Drop off my souls, right? So Control C for these two souls, right? And Control minus the souls off of him. He has 2 actions left. I have no more fate to buy items. I can start laying the smackdown on Brock, but that may make him vulnerable. Or he can try to go be in position to pick up another soul and win the game. I think that's the better move. So basically, Piper will, as his first action, dash beside. I want to be as far away from Brock as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to be over here like this. The Vampiric Touch, I'm not going to be able to use this turn, so I'll clear it. The Enhanced Self disappears as well, too. But as his last action, he's going to duplicate himself as one of his actions. So basically, he avoids the first hit, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty, eh? This is
I
looking
do
good
really
for
like his model, how it represents that. I like the whole, like, him behind the wall.
Yeah, at first I thought that they were twins until I played him, right? So I'm like, why are there two? I was kind of a little bit annoyed. I was like, this guy doesn't look like he has the stats of 2 characters, right? And then I was like, oh, it's supposed to be his illusion, basically, right? So
that would be insane running 2 characters as one in this game. Doing it in Gloomhaven is already mind breaking enough. Doing it in here where you have to think strategy would be even harder.
There is between you and I, there's a hero unit, like a hero unit coming out very shortly in November. It's 2 little goblins that are teammates, and you take them as one unit, and they share actions.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're the first hero unit in Judgment, right? So the biggest negative for hero units is if you kill one, you don't resurrect till they're both dead, basically.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, so it's kind of like it's kind of a big negative, right? But they get 1 extra action to share between the 2, basically. But nobody between the 2 can use more than 3. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be the only hero unit so far, basically. Okay. I'm done. My turn is done. You have Dawnregar left.
Can I move through the soul pit?
You can move through the soul pit, correct.
Does it count as like rough terrain, or is it just like open ground?
Nope. The open ground.
So if I say move in the smoke right beside Kogan here,
yep.
Would I get a penalty for swinging at him because of Zeron?
You would, yes.
So
you would want to be you would want to be here, basically.
Yeah. So I think I'm just gonna.
Which you can get to. You can actually charge there, basically. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You would have to take a parting blow from Zeron, I think.
Yeah. So I think my best bet is I'm gonna.
Actually, you can do this too, so you could avoid it that way.
I think I'm just gonna do the old run up and punch onto Zeron.
Okay, where do you want to be on Zeron?
Right there.
Stone form's gone for now. 6 minus my 4 is 2, so you get 4 dice basically against Zeron.
4, you said?
Yeah.
See, I'm just reading Stone Grasp.
Yeah, Stone Grasp is not bad. The biggest problem with Stone Grasp is if you lower your agility, I can use pushes to push myself away, basically. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stone Grasp requires quite a bit of skill to use properly.
That would have been good to use on a Piper there, so you couldn't run to the Igafy.
Yeah, as long as you don't go Stone Form, I can't use my pushes. Like, it'd be harder for me to push away. But you don't have a high agility. There's a lot more probability calculator you have to do when you use Stone Grasp, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, Stone Form is really straightforward, easy to calculate, but Stone Grasp requires you to understand how your opponent's going to react to you, basically.
Some 4D chest going on.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than it sounds, basically.
Well,
but in the right situation, it's game changing, right? Okay, 4 dice. Crit.
That's good.
To be honest, that's what makes Dawnregar almost slightly overpowered in my eyes. His crit for 5 is devastating. Like, I'm like he has all these abilities and he crits for 5, but he is a behemoth, right? So That was your crit. You get a push as well too.
Oh, I'll push him into the lava there.
Yep. Go ahead. So he takes another point of damage. And you have 1 action left.
We're gonna just swing again.
Okay, so this time you only get 2 dice.
Swing.
That's not bad. That's 2 damage. And you get another push. If you push him into wherever you push him to, he'll take another point of damage because he's leaving the lava as well too. So he takes another point of damage. Okay. Done. Donregard's done. Okay. So, start of communion phase, regeneration. Donregard's still at full. Kogan gets to regenerate because he's not on fire. Right?
Yep.
Move unbound souls. There's no unbound souls. There's no monsters. Generate fate. You get 1 fate and D3. So go ahead and roll D3.
Ooh.
So you have total 4 fate. That would be nice last turn, right? I get 3 for the 3 that I'm carrying. Okay. Spawn souls. We know the soul spawns here now. It's all up to Piper to win the game now at this stage. And monsters. This monster spawns. So 1, 2, 3, it's a Gloom. 4, 5, 6, it's a Inferno. Let's use the random monster generator so you can get a feel for what Vujasha does if she pops up. Okay. So Control R.
Control R.
I got it. Gloom. Vujasha is a level 2 monster. She's the most game-changing monster because when you kill her, a soul spawns basically, right?
Yeah.
And any soul becomes bound to her. She hunts basically, right?
Oh.
But this time it's Gloom. Okay.
Yeah, she was a monster. I picked up Terra because that's just the one I saw everybody had. So I was assuming it was kind of like a staple that I should get. But I saw her and I was like, one, it's like some Medusa lady, so that's kind of like my jam for models I want to paint. But 2, the whole like how she act was kind of cool and unique for like a level 2.
Yeah, she's quite game changing. She probably should be a level 3 because she's so game changing, but that's fine, right? Like, you know, it's but anyways, we have this thing called the Bile Witch. Take a look later. That's the one I use. The only problem with the Bile Witch is she doesn't look like she's agility 5. She's spawning things out of her belly, basically, right?
Oh.
So but I have a nicely painted Vujasha, a Bile Witch, and I use her as my Vujasha. The only way to get a Vujasha is through 3D print right now. Do you have access to the 3D printer?
Mine broke, unfortunately, and it's old enough that they don't make parts for it anymore.
Gotcha. So we've done Generate Fate, Spawn Souls we've done, and Spawn Monsters. Resurrect, there's no dead heroes this time. Effigy Powers. It might be a good time to call Effigy Powers at this stage, right? Because the game's getting close to the end.
Yeah.
Since you went last, I get to go first. I have to call my Effigy Power first. So just to give you a taste of what it would do. I'm going to call my Effigy Power. Zeron has been a little bit slack. He hasn't been dropping Shadow Orbs throughout the game, so I keep on forgetting, basically, right? But he is going to teleport away beside the Effigy, like this. Next, Kogan is going to teleport beside Zeron because he counts as a Shadow Orb. So he's going to go over here like this. And I'm done. Your turn. You might as well do it, basically. So all your characters heal 1. I think your characters are full, but you get to fly and avoid parting blows this turn. So you could fly over Gloom, for example, right? Yeah. Okay. So we have called our effigy powers. I get to go first. Unluckily for you, Piper is beside this soul over here, basically, right? So I'm going to do Soul Harvest, and this is for the game win because I have 3 souls right now, basically, right?
Yeah.
No bonuses, but I am going to use a fate to enhance myself. So now I need 7s instead of 8s. So 2d6, no problem. That's the game win right there, basically.
Oh,
so that was a very concise, in some ways, in some strange way. The reason the game was so fast, Andrew, is because you actually know how to play the game, strangely. Does that make sense? Yeah, because when players don't know how to concisely finish off their opponents, the game can take a little bit longer. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of, especially then you get analysis paralysis as you enter late
Exactly,
game.
right, too. So the fact that you actually know how to play the game well is why this game ended so fast. When two players know how to play the game will end in like an hour and 15 minutes. It's
Yeah.
when you play, it's when you are playing people that don't know how to play or don't know your gaming IQ is quite good, right? So that's why the game ended so fast. I had to respond a certain way because you forced me to respond in a certain way, right? And that mean I had to go for the easiest way to victory in some ways. So don't take the quick victory as a sign of lack of skill. It's actually because you have skill. The game ended so quickly, strangely enough, right? As a note, you are promoting the game because we want to grab more people in the community, basically, right?
Yeah.
Recommendations I can make when you're running a demo game for someone is lower the soul count to victory as one. I like to play deathmatch, which is like when your characters die, they just die. But when you bring the characters back, you only bring back the characters that you banned and vetoed. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, just the reason why I like the deathmatch in the 3v3, it naturally brings the game to conclusion, basically, right? Because and you do pretty much everything the same. The only differences in a deathmatch is when a character dies with items, the next character that comes up gets those items, basically. Right? That way you didn't waste items you purchased earlier in the game, right?
Yeah.
It kind of rolls over. That's nice.
Yeah, and then obviously you get a free buy action when you come back to life. So you can basically trade those items in for something new anyways, basically. You just get to use the fate that was used for those items, basically, right?
Yeah.
Also, one thing I noticed is when there's only one character on each side left, the game will, at the end of the round, the game will end. And whoever has collected more souls will win the game or has more levels, if that is equal as well, too. And the reason why, you just don't want to watch a game where two characters are running around doing their things and not killing anything, right? So that's another game ending. So those are the only two modifications, basically. As a note, Ista's very strong in that variation because they come back with full life. So their characters that are vetoed and banned and dropped come back with full life. And that's slightly advantageous. I would not give yourself Ista in that example.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's something you give to the person you wanna show off.
So those are the only modifications I would make. The nice thing is you don't want to keep someone's attention for more than an hour and a half in a demo game, right? Because that's too long, right? Because they're just going to be drained because they're just absorbing so much information, right?
Yeah.
So
that, or they'll just be like, I'll just go play Warhammer instead.
Yeah, exactly, right? It takes two players to be versed in the game to like they need to know how to finish the opponent off to make the game come to a natural. It doesn't feel draining then, but they need to know how to play. Like what I usually do with new players, I'll be like let's just play for an hour. You want them to come back for more. You don't want them to go like, we'll just play for an hour, and in that hour they'll learn so much, and then they'll be able to start with a fresh mind the next time, basically, right? So those are some of the pointers I would make if you're training people how to play the game, basically. Unless they really want to finish the game, then you're like, okay, then I'll finish the game with you, right? But don't drain them, basically, initially, because this game is a very strategic game. It's not designed. It's not super intuitive for beginners, basically, right?
Yeah.
So lastly, I kind of want to finish off 3 points, basically. It's good the explanation for the game is very useful. They like when people ask, is keep it short and concise, right? So when people are like, what is this game? You're like, it's a MOBA inspired game. They're like, what is a MOBA? It's a party on party in battle. Like if they don't know what a MOBA is, you go like, it's a party versus party battle in D&D, basically, right? With a cool veto system. So you have to decide if you're going to bring one tank or 2 tanks, basically. Because if you only bring one tank and I veto that tank, you're not going to be able to use that tank.
I have actually sold this game to so many of my friends just by saying it's Heroes of the Storm but fantasy.
Exactly, right? They have something to attach to. That's why I say keep it simple, right? It's like MOBA. It's a MOBA inspired game, right? And et cetera, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is like, what makes it different, and then how to get passionate about the game. Like, there's three components of tabletop gaming: social engagement, critical thinking, and foster creativity. So these are the ideas. Social engagement, the games are shorter. There's less setup and less takedown, basically, right? It's the games are not as draining, basically. You can play draft, where you take all your characters and you draft your characters, including the gods if you want. And therefore, one person can have a collection and the person doesn't, and you can still play a really fun game, right? So also the larger maps allow you to play free-for-all and multiplayer battles too. So basically, it's very inclusive in the gaming sphere.
I do gotta say,
Yeah.
I love the idea of the grid system. I know I heard from seeing online that people are like, before, when you guys were sending out models, that there wasn't a grid. But then when I got the maps and they were like the nice like magic playing card mats, I was impressed with that. And then the back has art. That was sick.
Yeah. So
it's really vibrant. The colors punch on the back art. I was shocked.
So you can thank me. I have to take credit for the hex thing, because when we got the game originally, my business partner was basically saying, "Oh, hey, check, I'll run you a demo," and the push mechanic is key to this game, right? And pushing 1 inch multiple times almost broke me, and I was like, "That's stupid," basically. Right? Like I'm like, I'm like, it's so. I like the mechanic, but it's really annoying to do. Right?
It's a momentum killer for sure.
Momentum killer, exactly. Like sitting there trying to measure 1 inch, and if you off measure, the game is not even strategic anymore, right? Because like if someone moved an inch and a half, it will change everything, right? So I was like, that's a really dumb. It's a cool mechanic, but it's really dumb. So that's what was one of the big changes, was my irritation with moving 1 inch like spaces, right? The neoprene mat is great. The only and I appreciate that you value the double stitch quality. It's a really nice quality mat. I'm a little bit annoyed that they didn't put a secondary map on the back. I'm like,
yeah. I find that that's a blessing and a curse. On the on like the 3v3 map, I would definitely agree. I'd love to have seen two different maps, maybe like a winter one plus the other one.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Then, but on the large one, I actually like having the art on the other side, because if, say, I have a gaming table at home I permanently have set up, I can leave the art side face up so people can come play Magic or build models and stuff.
Well, I love the fact that you bring such a positive to the thing, right? Like, so I'm glad, but that's one of my deep-seated resentments of not having a secondary map on the other side.
That is fair. If mine can just be a very like specific case, that's why I like it. But I could definitely agree with you too. If there was another map on the other side also, I'd also be down for that too.
Yeah. I think that's what the thought was. My business partner really wanted to show off some of the cool art, right? So he's very artistically minded for that. So I appreciate that you value that anyways, right?
I think it stands out. I'm totally with Will on this one too. Like,
okay. Well, I'm glad to lose this battle for sure, because like
it's really high quality too. It's not blurry. It's very sharp.
Totally.
Colors are really punchy.
I'm all about. Yeah, I'm more of a gamer than like I am partially artist for sure, but like design in gaming is one of the key elements for me. Right?
I think then the next mat you guys make, definitely do it double-sided. But for this one as it is, I love it. It's multi-purpose. It's great for when I shoot videos.
Yeah. One negative of shooting videos is it doesn't read very well on videos. That's why we have to come up with a good video read map as well too. That's one of the things we noticed as well too with the design. It looks kind of cool because it's supposed to be this wasteland with soul energy going through it. But one of the things we noticed as a note, Andrew, too, was like it's hard to read for video content, right? So
big time. The colors do not pop out at all. It blends into itself.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things we need to adjust to when we'll have to get a mat made for video shooting in the future. So that was the social engagement part. The critical thinking. First thing, my slogan I use, because people like quick things. Hexagons are the bestagons, right? Think strategy, not inches, right? So that's kind of my quick pitch to people. It's clean. It's super clean. It's super clear. There's a lot of clarity when you're playing, right? Yeah. So the next thing is, it's not an arms race. It's not about waiting for manufacturing to get better. We have access to the same pool of models. It's just that all the building comes from the god choice and what type of class you want to use. And the veto system keeps things honest as well too, right? Because it's like, oh, you have Donragar, or oh, your Alandir combination is broken. Try something new. So it makes people change their routines. As a note, immunity for when you start with new players, immunity is a better system than veto. Allow people to immune a character first before you start the veto. People don't know who to veto if they're not experienced, but they know who they want to play with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for beginners, that's better because they're going to be like, I don't know who to veto. I don't know any of these characters, but they do know I want to play with Alandir. He's going to smack some people around, right? So basically, that's generally better for beginners as well too. And to be honest, immunity is actually more advanced than veto in its own way, because as soon as someone immunes something, you know they've given you information on what they're planning to do, right? So it allows you to. It's another information target that someone's given you as to use towards strategy as well too, right? So, anyways, it's not an arms race, and the veto system keeps things honest. But the big reason in critical thinking is the deterministic dice mechanic. The dice don't tell you what to do. You get to decide what the dice do for you, basically. It's like that's what keeps the game so variable. It's like in other games, you're like, move. I rolled to hit. The dice told you to hit. Save. The dice told you to save. No. I'm going to move with my dice. I'm going to do damage with my dice. I'm going to save with my dice. You get to decide when you roll the dice, what you do with them. So that's the critical thinking part. The last thing with foster creativity, what differentiates this game, paint heroes, not units. Have fun painting again. Work on a project, start a new project. Billy, paint up that model. Come next week, add it to our draft pool. It's like painting. Painting one model is fun. Painting 3 is okay. Painting 10 of the same model sucks. So have fun painting again. So those are my pitches when I'm like describing it to people and how I become passionate about why this game over other games, right? So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, I definitely love for those who, a lot of it in the store I would see is like, you have the guys walk up to the Warhammer table, they'd be like, oh, that's a lot, and then they'll be like, oh, it's so expensive, and you got to paint so many models, and then someone will be like, oh, here's Kill Team, here's smaller. But then I'm like, oh, I can see they want the miniature game, and they want the models and stuff, but they don't want to, build them. They don't want to spend all the money. And I find a lot of board games and stuff are kind of pushing towards that, but like Judgment is like one of the first true like alternates I highly push on somebody instead of getting into Kill Team.
Yeah.
Because like you're a D&D player, you want to get into a miniatures war game, play Champions.
Either way, I really appreciate your time, Will. The next step is like, now that you've got a taste, let's set up another time to play, like another hour game or something like that. And maybe we'll play Deathmatch next time and see how you like Deathmatch.
Sure.
Right? So I appreciate your time, though, and coming and hanging out with me. And
I was kind of hoping my printer was fixed before, because I saw all the other God Igafis that you guys had on a website.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's one of the things. I have a feeling we have to find a solution to the effigies sooner than later. So that's going to be one of our top priorities, basically, for that. Right?
I would love to see it, but I don't know the costs and stuff behind it. But if you guys kind of did a God pack, so instead of like a person buying this core box, you could do like a standalone single player sort of starter box. It'd be like you get your effigy, the champion for the god, and then like 2 other guys with them or something.
Yeah, we had we got blown out during COVID. Our second half of our Kickstarter never appeared because of COVID. It was us too. We have to take some responsibility for this, but the point being is we activated the Kickstarter before COVID. COVID happened and derailed our plans completely. Long story short is I'm building from the ground, like bottom up right now. And we have the ability to do it, especially with Andrew's help. But it's gonna be a slow burn year for us. And with as more assets become available, we're aware of these problems as a note.
Yeah.
Right. So even cards, we have new cards, all these new things. We just have to be able to implement them logistically, basically, at this stage. Right. So, but the game has been growing, even with with the little things that are happening that we're starting to get into position for it now, which is getting me excited. Yeah. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me with any of your feedback. Even if it's just you don't want to play a game, you just want to talk really quickly with this is what I've been noticing, this would help my community out, et cetera, feel free to contact me regarding that kind of stuff. Let me know if you're ready for another game to learn the other intricacies. There's the harder rules are like undead. That's pretty much they're the hardest rules to learn in the game because they have like lots of different, they change the game massively, right? And they don't change the game, but their skills they don't collect souls, right? So it's a very different mechanic, right? So they're a little bit trickier to know, but you have a good grasp of all the rules, I've noticed, right? So I'm pretty impressed for 2 games.
The game is actually like, there's different levels and stuff, and I definitely have a friend in our group who's, if he can understand the rules after reading it once or twice, then the game is really simple. And I found in this game, with the first demo game I watched, he played, we both instantly just got the grasp of the game.
Yeah. It's a weird, if you understand strategic elements of why these rules are there, they are intrinsic, right? It's just, but there's always a few that are like, I'm not sure why, but it's not like, but if you don't have that natural grasp of like strategic placement, like, then the curve is higher, basically, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the game was super simple to grasp and play, and even when you explaining how the new rules that I haven't played with yet was super good, it is definitely, I find it's more once you get that rule, you read the rule book, the rest of the game is just understanding positioning. It's all about reading your opponent and positioning, which makes it a unique board game in itself.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's very the maneuver system is so cool. That's why I'm glad Andrew was able to sit through with us, but you can see like envision when people like can understand this, they're like, oh, that's so cool, but not everybody can grasp that immediately, right? So
there's a lot of interesting layers, but when the core mechanics really unveil themselves and you kind of see how everything synergizes and works together, it's very elegant, it's very nice, it's very concise, it feels tight and punchy, and the momentum that was such an important change, I think, and you nailed it. Like your gameplay experience, you're measuring these 1-inch things and you're totally aware of the fact that it's a game of 1/16 inches, so if someone accidentally has too much of an advantageous inch, as far as they're going 1.5 inches, like you said, it starts to break the game down. I noticed that in Kill Team that it's a point of dispute for
exactly. It's a huge point of dispute is the reality, right? People disregard that because there's so many other variables in there. It's your army composition, et cetera. But if someone moves a 1/2 inch extra, that's the game dynamic that's changed. You can't calculate for that because you don't want to be a poor sportsman either. You want to have the engagement of it, but it's such a strange competitive environment, right?
You're micromanaging your own set of rules and army. You don't have time to be hyper analytical of every single thing the person's doing.
When your game has to have like 6 FAQs about standing 1/2 inch away from a building, I think you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's for sure. I like deep, weighty games. I do like complexity, and I don't mind measuring. I love Kill Team, but it's really nice to have something, like I said, I think elegant. This feels very much like chess. It's very much, and I think the jump to hexagons a lot easier for 2-dimensional games, and this does feel like a 2-dimensional game, despite having some 3-dimensional aspects like the terrain and miniatures. Yeah. It does feel like it works perfectly in Vassal for that reason.
The 3-dimensional aspect is to draw the eye to the game because it just makes it look cool, right? So it is really strategic, like the terrain, but it's more for the sizzle than it is for purely
sure.
Yeah, fairness, basically, right? Because that can change it. You obviously have to utilize your strategy to overcome. You have to adapt to the battlefield. Obviously, that's a very important part of gaming too. but it is more it's important because it makes it look cool. That's why we really cared about the terrain in many
It's
ways.
a big deal too.
The
Things
rules.
looking cool.
Yeah, it's real cool.
It draws people in. They're walking by. They see someone. The models they feel big still. They feel really, especially compared to like a lot of the Warhammer and Kill Team stuff. Those models are tiny.
Yeah, they're a little bit bigger to one of the things, like when I describe it to people, I go like, why play Judgment again? Another reason, strikingly beautiful creature caster models. Hell yeah. But one of the elements of that is like they are like proportioned fairly well. That makes them, that's why they need to be a little bit bigger to be able to give that impression of coolness as well too, right?
Yeah.
One of the things we sort of lost when we went scale down, right? Because we make really, really nicely detailed models, right? So you lose a little bit of that when you scale it to 32 mil, but we have more of a heroic scale. But when I pitch it, it's like cool looking models. You get to kill monsters, you get to level up. But what keeps you staying is how the dice work. Basically, it's like very few games use that deterministic dice mechanic, right? The dice determine the outcome, and you get to choose from the dice, right? So
I love the dice in this. I find a lot of games will either D6, and then they'll have a bunch of rules on top of it to mess with it. And in larger scale games, that's fine, but in like small scale games like this, it can be annoying. Or you have the opposite, where it's the dice are just like 8D8s with a bunch of different special sides, and that has a bunch of rules. This is just literally like 3 things, and it was super simple and quick.
And there's so much to those 3 things, right? When I explain the maneuver mechanic, I usually say it has 2 functions. The first function is a push. That's easy to explain, right? The second function is the combat maneuver. Like, if I choose hits, I do damage. If I choose maneuvers, I decided to put my dagger into my pouch and use poison on you, or I decided to use the burn mechanic and light you on fire, basically, right? So those are the 2 functions of the maneuver symbol. I get a lot of pushback where people want to use all their maneuver symbols, but you have to choose between the 2, right? But they're like, I want to use them all. I rolled them. I get to use them. Like, I'm sorry, you just can't use them all.
I appreciate you guys letting me watch it. I'm still learning too. I think operationally, a lot of skirmish and war games, their dice function the same way. You roll, and then you're either re-rolling, you're finding your feel no pains, your crits, your piercing, whatever. And so there's a lot of adding and removing. But the judgment dice being proprietary, that system where you're choosing 3 things to do, and each one of those things has a distinct, mechanical advantage or disadvantage depending on your circumstance. It feels good. It's more interesting looking down into my dice tray and seeing what options I have versus how many sixes I rolled,
The elegance is like surprisingly, like that's surprising what's nice about the game. I like to describe it as a cross between like chess and light role playing. It's not actually role playing, obviously, but you're like in role playing, you have limited options too, to a certain degree, depending on what your DM is doing for you. That you can't go off the path that far, right? Unless they're a super talented DM or versed DM. So it's like the same thing. It's like I roll these dice. Like, oh, do I run away? Do I do damage? Do I light you on fire? Do I like decide to push you? Like it's kind of like you still are. It's optional still, but you still have a parameter you have to work in, right? So it's like light role playing with chess. It's kind of like a cool theme for me, basically.
It makes it, the dice rolls make me feel smart without making me feel dumb with a bunch of options and things and gotchas that my opponent who knows more than I do about the rules can get me. So it's just like, I have an idea of why I went up to do the thing, and then instead of having an analysis paralysis of how to react, I can look at the dice and be like, oh, well, choices have kind of been made for me. Maybe it's something I didn't want, so I'll use a fate, or it's like I'll accept it and I get the crit. So it's like, it removes that chance of me getting paralysis and from getting gotcha'd.
Totally. Yeah, that's a really interesting point where it does consolidate your options to like a few very specific avenues, and you get that don't feel dumb vibe from it. That's great.
Yeah. No, it was I really liked our little round table of talk here. That was really good. I'm hoping I really enjoyed the experience playing against you, Will. Hopefully we get to work together more in the future, right? Because your positivity, your analyzation, and your great gameplay are all like benefits, right? So
okay, with that, guys, there's a lot to talk about. I clicked the wrong thing. I need my music. Royalty free, let's go. It's going to be not royalty free, even though they say it is, but oh well, here we are. Got our tavern music going. There we go. Anywho, we're going to clip that. Nope. Are we good? We're good. Alright, so that was it, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by for this sort of spontaneous interview. I didn't get to ask much questions, but he did hit a lot of the questions I was going to ask. So we learned about like why you should play it, why the hex system, why the dice, how the game, all that stuff. Interview about mats and things. But with that, I think I got pretty much what I needed. Thank you so much for stopping by. There was a part where I had to cut the audio in the YouTube video. If you guys want to re-watch this, I'll have it doing a video. This is going to be a part of it. So if you want to watch the beginning and you're just near the end here, keep an eye on that on my YouTube, which is down below. You know, stuff like that. I just, for, you know, personal issues, you know, information I had to cover up. But, you know, it is what it is. I didn't get a chance to tell them that they were being recorded, so oopsies on my part, but I did message them that I wanted to, so they were aware. I didn't get to pre-warn them, but I will. They were very professional. Nothing was said, so I'll make sure to remove parts that shouldn't be in there. We will see you next time. Bye bye.